So players, tell me this. How come whenever we talk about divas, we talk about Mariah, we talk about Whitney, we talk about Chaka, Tina Turner, Diana Ross, Patty, why don't we ever talk about Toni Braxton? You know Toni. That's a nigga and I can't stop thinking about and I can't stop thinking about woo, Dark Child. We don't ever talk about Toni, and she's one of the best divas of the 90s. We never talk about her, so I'm going to talk about it since y'all keep your mouth shut. I'm going to do it. Today, we talking Toni. We talking about the debut. We talking about Secrets. We talking about Libra, which y'all slept on. We talking about The Heat. We're talking about every album from Toni Braxton, and we going to rank them from bottom to top. Check it out. Welcome, players, to another edition of the Soul and Stereo Sessions right here on YouTube. Yes, and we are talking about my girl, Toni Braxton. I'm going to let y'all in on a little bit of Ed lore, just in case it becomes a Jeopardy question one day, and I want y'all to get the right answer. So, Toni Braxton is one of the artists that kind of, sort of, accidentally inspired me to become an album reviewer. So here's what happened. Back in my older life, I was a journalist. I'm still a journalist, but I was an editor in the early 2000s, and I was reading this wire. We used to get this it's kind of like this service where you get all of these news stories, and one of the services had a review of Toni Braxton's album More Than a Woman. So then it came through, I was excited. I was like, cool, let me check this out. Because y'all know I'm an R&B head. And I read the review, and it's like, I don't understand anything this review is saying. Like, it was written so well, but it was like going over my head. And I remember thinking, even though at the time I knew I was a decent writer, I was like, man, I could never be an album reviewer because I can't speak so technically. Like, it was so technical. I could tell they didn't really like the album, but I also couldn't really get what they were trying to get across. It was like they were talking above me. And I was saying, like, man, I could never do this. But then as the years went on, I was like, well, I think people don't want to be talked over. They want to be talked toward. And that kind of helped me when I decided to become an album reviewer. I'm going to make album reviews that are very conversational, that y'all can understand. It's almost like if you and I were just sitting around the house chatting about an album. I want it to be like that, but I'm going to bring some insight into it. I'm not just going to be like, I like this song, or this is a classic, or this trash. Like, I'm going to bring insight into why I think it's good, but I'm also going to talk to you and like a person and not like a robot that's like talking above you. So no shout out to that writer who I'm sure has no idea who I am, and I don't remember the name of the writer who was writing this really technical stuff because that was the style at the time. But I was like, when I do this, I'm going to make this personal and conversational, and that's what happened at soulandstereo.com, and that's what I'm bringing to you today. So if you love my album reviews and my rankings, you should thank them. And if you hate them, I'm going to thank you for at least clicking on this video because you're crazy. But that's it. Today we're going to talk about Toni. We're going to be talking about one of those husky R&B voices that has permeated R&B for the past 30, 40 years. I'm a huge fan. I love her pairing with Babyface. So many classics, so many hits, and we just don't really talk about my girl Toni enough. So today we're going to do that. But before we do that, I want you to take a second and hit the like button on this video. Like right now, just go ahead and scroll and hit that like. It's a real quick click for you, but it means a lot to me and producer D Roth. That's why we keep creating these videos. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you as a subscriber, because the more subscribers we get, the more that YouTube pushes this algorithm thing, and we can bring more people into the Soul and Stereo family. And when you're done, make sure you share this video with the Toni fan in your life. I know they're going to have thoughts. I promise they'll have thoughts, but hopefully they're good thoughts. Probably mixed thoughts, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. Without further ado, let's talk about Toni. And I just can't help, and I just can't talk. Woo, woo, Dark Child. The best albums from Toni Braxton, ranked from bottom to top. Coming in at number 9 is that album that I talked about earlier, More Than a Woman. The album that the album reviewer didn't like, at least I think. I didn't know what they were talking about. But I kind of understand why. Toni has gone on record and said this is her least favorite album. And she just seemed, I don't know, uninterested? Weary? Like there's something, the energy feels off on this album. I did like the single. I love Hit the Freeway, but there really wasn't a lot here. And you could tell she really wasn't with it, y'all. The hip-hop heavy sound just wasn't really working for her in a lot of spaces. Some spaces it did, like I did like the single. But overall, it's kind of a miss, and one that's pretty much forgotten in her catalog. It's easy to see why. I mean, every artist has its stumbles. And to be fair, it's not a horrible album. It's just not nearly as good as what we're going to be talking about later on. This is one you can skip. Coming in at number 8 is Pulse. This one is not I'm going to say it's super recent, but it's one of the more recent efforts that she's released. And it's a good mix. We got a good mix of kind of pop Toni and a good mix of the old school balladeering that she's so great at doing. As an overall package, it's pretty good. It has a few standouts, but just a few. And that's why I put it so low on this list, because it's all right. I think big Toni fans will really support it and be like, oh, this is a great album. But most fans would kind of be like, it's all right. I'm a Toni fan. I do see the worth here. It's not a disaster, but it's just not enough that will keep you revisiting outside a few singles. Just grab the singles, grab the "and my hands tied, and my hands tied." Like, pull that one out. You can leave the rest. Okay effort, but not all that. And my hands tied. Coming in at number 7 is Spell My Name. This is the most recent Toni album. A few years ago, she had kind of like a little mini comeback, and I was here for it. And this album was pretty good. I really liked that it had a more condensed playlist. It's nice and short and sweet. So just got right to the point, which I love. It kind of gives you that vinyl era feel where you just get like a tight playlist instead of a whole bunch of stuff. Look, y'all, I just did a TikTok video going through Chris Brown's discography. Clearly, I'm not dead yet. The stands have not found me and murdered me yet. But these artists and these 40-track albums and 30-track albums, and I just reviewed J. Cole. Oh my God, y'all, give me your best, not all of the rest. That's what I keep saying. And that's what Toni did here. She gave us a very tight release. To be fair, it's a solid release, but it really struggles to become a great release. Everything here is good. Not a lot here is outstanding. So in the modern R&B realm, of course, we can be like, oh yeah, this is a good album. But if this album came out in the 90s or 2000s, I think it would be a little bit more forgettable. So it stands out basically because the bar has been lowered a little bit. But that doesn't mean it's a terrible album. It's just not as strong as it could be. But I do appreciate the brevity. I appreciate the sequencing. It's a fun, breezy album that you can get through front to back. A solid release. Coming in at number 6 is Sex and Cigarettes. And who done pissed Toni off? Who done made Toni mad? Because she was in a mood on this album. And you know us, we love our crotchety R&B singer, because when a singer is heartbroken or mad, that's the best music. Toni, again, this is another one that's kind of a very streamlined release, and that works for it because it gives Toni plenty of space to give us all her grievances. This album has some great songs on it, some great singles, and some fun album cuts. This one really took me by surprise at the time, and it's pretty underrated in her catalog. It's one of those ones that at the time we celebrated and then we moved on and forgot about. I think it deserves a second look if you missed it. So go check it out. A good album that shows Toni still got it. Toni can still deliver it. This was a fun one. Coming in at number 5 is The Heat. Can you feel the heat? The heat. Toni was on one. So this was Toni's, it was kind of a comeback for Toni. So by 2000, this was album number 3. And honestly, if you were around then, by this time, Toni was well known for the drama and not so much about the R&B. Think about Mariah and her kind of glitter and pre-glitter era, how people were just focused on like, oh, she fell off and all this outside stuff instead of the music. That was kind of, Toni was going through that on a smaller level here in 99 and 2000. But The Heat proved that she can jump into the new era with some good stuff. This is when we get Dark Child. Dark Child. I love the way she pronounces that. And we get those songs like He Wasn't Man Enough and the title track. So much fun stuff. I mean, we get even like some jazzy face stuff. The album cuts on this album are good. However, I don't have this one as high as some people do, because I know some people really love this album, because some of the album cuts work. Some of them are kind of This is the first Toni album that had a little bit of a few misses on the album cut scale. But overall, it's a solid package with memorable singles, Dark Child, and good album cuts that still resonate today. A good album, a good mini comeback for Toni. Toni showed to stop playing, stop worrying about my taxes. Like, I'm good. I got the good music here. Thanks to Dark Child. Coming in at number 4 is an album I can't wait to talk about, and that is Toni Braxton's Libra. Another album that just was lost to time for some reason. Actually, I do know the reason. It was not on streaming because it was part of Blackground Records, and I don't know what Blackground's problem is with streaming. It's well documented. So this album was just missing forever. But of course, because I'm me, you won't miss it for me, player. I had that album and I love this album so much. There are so many great songs. The singles are good. Look, we just gonna go through it in real time. What we got up here? Please, great single. Trippin', incredible. Take This Ring. If this table held me up, you would see me jump on this table and do the Carlton dance right now. That's how much I love that song. If you love A. Marie's One Thing, go listen to Take This Ring. This is the best secondary A. Marie One Thing song out there. Supposed to be dope. Like, oh my gosh, so many dope songs on this album. And it just kind of came and went, because even though the singles did all right at the time, I don't know why we didn't get a video for Take This Ring, because it would have been incredible, but it really just got passed over. I do not understand why. This album is great. A great album, one of Toni's best, clearly one of my favorite Toni Braxton albums, and it just 10 songs. Again, it's another album that's very concise, very consistent. You can put it on, listen to the whole thing, and enjoy it. One of the most underrated albums of that decade. Please check it out. Like the song. Please check it out. Coming in at number 3 is Love, Marriage, and Divorce. Some of y'all may be confused why this album is so high, but if you know, you know, because this is a long-awaited dream album. Babyface and Toni Braxton were the preeminent duo. I mean, you think about Rodney Jerkins and Brandy and Timbaland and Aaliyah, and these artists who just work really together with a producer. Toni Braxton and Babyface were that duo. And we, decades after they blew up and both did their thing, we got this joint album, and it is so good. It's very heartbreaking, of course, because it's about divorce, but the writing, the production, the chemistry is all there like it was freaking 1992. They hadn't lost a step. Great songs, great album. And very weird note, That album cover, I don't know what it is about it. That's one of my favorite album covers of all time. It's just so striking. Like, look at it. It's just shadowy, and you can just, without saying a word, you can tell exactly what this album is about. You could take the love, marriage, and divorce off of it and just look at the imagery, and you could tell what this was about. This is why I can't stand y'all little AI covers, because like, oh, here's, look at it's Drake with a bunch of pregnant emoji women. Ha ha ha. That's what does that mean? Like, what is that? What is this album about? I can't tell. I can look at that image and tell you exactly what this album is about. I can tell you exactly what the story of this album is. That, my friends, is artistry. And that's just the image. That's not talking about the music, which of course is great. Again, like most Toni albums post like 2000 or 2005 or so, it kind of came and went. People missed it, but it's a very strong release. It holds up very well today. Coming in at number 2 is Secret. So, you're Toni Braxton. You just dropped your debut album, one of the best albums of its era. Sorry to spoil number 1, but one of the best albums of its era. How do you follow up? How do you follow up with that? You follow up with it with Secrets, an album that's almost as legendary as the debut. You got You're Making Me High, Unbreak My Heart, and then you got just the Let It Flows, and there's so much. See, I'm gonna have to pull the album back out. We got Let It Flows, we got, there it is, I Love Me Some Him, Why Should I Care? There are so many solid songs. Talking in His Sleep. Oh my gosh. There is so much on this album that brings so much to extend her legacy. So a lot of artists, when you have an album as big as your debut, they think about, how can I take this further? This took it further because not only did we have kind of the babyface stuff that made the debut great, but we took it further by tweaking the sound and tweaking the emotion and making everything ratchet up to another level. I can't say it's as good as its debut. Some people say it's better than the debut. I disagree, because I think that the debut just hits heights that this can't hit when it comes to a few of the album cuts. But what we get, and for the classic songs it's delivered, is one of the best albums of the 90s. Absolutely, for sure. That's why I gave it 4.5. Can't Sleep. She killed that. And coming in at number 1, of course, is the debut. Toni was at the height of her powers in 1992 because she had this appearance on the Boomerang soundtrack with Babyface, one of my favorite Toni Braxton songs, by the way. And it's like, she's got all this momentum. We got to give them the album. And boy, did they give us an album. They gave us an album that just hits with every single song. Y'all know I don't believe in the perfect album, like this is a perfect album, because you can tweak even the best albums. You can go through and say, maybe you can change the order of songs, or maybe you could pull out this song. That doesn't stop an album from getting 5 stars from me. A 5-star review isn't about being perfect. It's about everything working well. And this album is one of the best sequenced albums of all time. Every song flows into the next one. You don't want to turn it off. I don't skip anything because I want to hear the next song in the sequence. Toni is great. The chemistry with Babyface is incredible. I ranked the best 90s albums not that long ago, and this one was easily in the top 5. Like, and then the only reason it got shout out is because it's hard to beat My Life and Boyz II Men 2 and things like that. But when you put that's some very high company when you can go to toe to toe with those albums. I give this album, as you can tell, the coveted 5 stars because it deserves it. And it's one of the greatest albums of all time, any genre. And of course, Toni Braxton's best album. Incredible, incredible work. All right, that's it. Every Toni Braxton album. And now it's your turn to tell me, what albums do you think are her best? I mean, we probably all agree that her best are like the top 2, but are you a debut person or are you a Secrets person? Do you think The Heat should have been higher? Do you think Libra should have been higher? If you do, you're my best friend because I love that album. Let me know in the comments below how you would rank Toni's albums, and tell me your favorite Toni moments too, because Toni is a hilarious lady. That lady is hilarious. And I just can't think about, and I can't stop touching my head. That didn't sound right when I actually said it. This edition of the Soul and Stereo Sessions is a wrap. I'm going to go listen to me some Toni Braxton right now because that's my girl. Hopefully you do the same. Play on, players.